Hi, I'm Amina Wasuma, and I'm here to talk about my novella For the Love of Blood, Episode 3, Secrets Revealed. Now, the last time we left off, Blood gave Amber a passionate kiss and put her in the cab at 6 a.m. in the morning. Well, she gets home. She's still stoned off of the cocaine, and she sits there. She pulls out her Coke. She wants to go to sleep because she has to get her beauty rest. But at the same time, the drug is calling her. So she can't resist. She takes a sniff. And then as time goes on, she falls asleep. Now, it's the afternoon in front of the Den Club. Blood walks up. He's standing on the corner. Just standing on the corner hanging out. I mean, patrons go in and they look at the game and they have a drink. And this is the daytime crowd. So as he's standing on the corner, Chang, a community gangster, approaches him. And Chang has a limp, and he wants to open up a penny arcade next door to the Den. And so he offers Blood a job. Why don't you come and be a bouncer for me? Me and my baby brothers, EJ and baby James, are going to be running it, and also my gopher Fat Bob. But I need a bouncer. And I know, you're qualified to do something as that, to handle anybody who's rough that would enter into the penny arcade. So Blood says, well, I'll think about it. I don't know. I'll think about it. So Chang says, okay. And he limps away. So all of a sudden, Dee comes up. And she throws her arms around him. And Blood, baby, how come, we have never gotten back together again. And, I miss you. And what we had was so great. And he's like, Dee, I'm going with Amber. And so Dee was like, well, you really like that, B? He says, yeah. The best thing you ever did was to bring her to the Den. I really like her. And, I'm going to see her. And what we had was just a fling. I mean, we partied together, but it's been over with. And so Dee was like, well, you can call me whenever you want. And he's like, well, Dee, I thought you were Amber's friend. And she's like, no, I'm not her friend. I'm not her friend. So Blood said, listen, Amber is going to be my woman. And that's all there is to it. And he takes her arms from around his neck. And he says, I see you later. And so he goes into the Den and he calls Amber. Hey, babe, what's up? What you doing tonight? And she's saying, well, I'm getting my sleep right now. And he was like, well, why don't you come on and meet me? She says, well, I got a job to go to this afternoon. Later on, I have a night shoot. And he was like, okay, so why don't you come and meet me after, around 9 o'clock? And she says, okay, we can celebrate. So she says, okay, I'll see you then. So as the day goes on, he goes in and he sits at the bar and he looks at the game and he thinks about Amber, And night comes. Well, before that, Amber goes to her shoot and Bill is her photographer and he's telling her about this job that her agent Willie is auditioning for. And it's going to Washington, D.C. And it's a big paying job and it would be like something really great for her. And a number of other girls are going too. And he's not sure whether or not she's got the job or not, but, she'll have to talk to Willie about it and see. And Amber says, well, yeah, that's great. I'm going to a party tonight to celebrate. This is one of my first jobs because he's taking photographs of her and she's going to be like in the daily news. And you know, this is like a big thing for her. And she says, well, I'm going, you know, uptown tonight. I'm going to meet my boyfriend. I got this new boyfriend. I'm going to meet him, and we're going to celebrate. Would you like to come? And he was like, no, I don't want to come. You know, I got work to do, you know. So she takes the pictures and poses, and, you know, she looks at other pictures, you know, that he's taken of her, and they look really great, and she's kind of happy. So she leaves, and she goes home, and she gets dressed, and she meets Blood at the den. Now, Blood is there with Soupy, Jonesy, you know, and Cisco. And so she's there, and she walks in, and they all greet her and everything like that. And they have champagne, and they're celebrating, and you know, she meets the guys and everything. And so Dee comes in, and Dee, you know, Amber, my girl, and she's all up in Amber's face. And so Amber says, well, have some champagne, and she gives her some champagne, and she's celebrating her first big job. And so Dee says, well, let's watch my drink. I'm going over to the jukebox and put some music on. And so she goes over to the jukebox, and Blood walks over there and slaps her in the face really hard. She cries and runs out of the bar. So Amber was like, well, what is going on here? And so he says, well, you know, she's been talking trash about me, you know, and I had to, you know, put her in check. So Amber didn't say anything. I mean, she thought that was like, well, you know, he hit her. You know, is that how you put a woman in check? But she didn't really focus on it, you know, as much. Like, it didn't faze her, but that was a signal, you know. And so she says, well, I got to get up early tomorrow morning. And he said, well, can we hang out tonight? And she's like, no, not tonight, you know. I got to go to work early in the morning. I got a shoot to do. And so she like says, well, I'm ready to go. And so all the guys say, well, you know, good luck, Amber, you know, on your job tomorrow. And, you know, it's so great, you know, meeting you and everything. And so Blood says, well, I'll escort you out. So he escorts her out to catch a cab. So while he's with Amber, the guys are talking, you know, like Cisco is saying, see that? He smacked Dee and she didn't even flinch. You know, you think she knows about him, you know? And Jonesy's like, well, if she did, she probably would drop him, you know. She know, you know, the things that he was doing. And so Cisco was like, well, you know, he's head over heels over her. And Jonesy's like, no. And Soupy's like, well, I don't think she really likes him. So Cisco's like, well, I bet, you know, he really likes her. So why don't we go to the gambling spot and shoot craps and bet on it? Bet that Blood becomes totally committed to Amber. And so Blood comes back in, and so Cisco says, well, we going to the spot. We made a bet, you know, that girl got your nose, and you totally head over heels for her. And we bet that she makes you commit. Yeah. Because he has other women that he's dealing with. So he says, well, you know, let's see about that. And so Tony comes in. And Tony is like, hey, what's up? And everything else. Well, Tony, come to the gambling spot with us. And so they all leave the den and they go to the gambling spot, which is around the corner. It's a dark street. And they go in and the ladies are already there, you know, because Tony's like, well, I'm hoping some ladies are going to be here. But when they get there, the ladies are there. And there's a big bowl of cocaine, like, on the table. And they start gambling. But Tony, you know, meets a lady there and sits in the corner and he's giving her cocaine and they're sniffing. And Cisco and Blood and Jonesy are gambling away. And Cisco wins $1,500. So some way the conversation comes up. Tony is sitting in the corner with his woman. And the situation comes up where he asks Soupy, or he tells Soupy, I got your money, I'm going to get your money for you. And so Blood was like, wait a minute, you don't owe him, you owe me. You know, I saw you the other day and you said the same thing. And he was like, well, oh, and you don't talk to Soupy about money, you talk to me about it, because you owe me. I come over in the corner and let's talk about it. So Tony gets up and he goes over into a secluded corner with Blood. And Blood is like, well, when are you going to pay me my money? And Tony's like, well, I got it. I'm going to give it to you. We see the police, I had it, but the police stopped me and took it. And now I had to get it back again. And I got it and I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you tomorrow for sure. So I was like, you lying piece of crap. You know, you told me that the other day. You know, so Blood takes out a pistol and starts pistol whipping Tony. He pistol whips him until he kills him. Now the girls are like going, crying and screaming. And, you know, he's like, shut up before I kill you too. He just turns into from a Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde. And they're all crying and, you know, like mumbling and trying to hold the tears back and their fear back. And so Cisco tells them, you know what? Don't mention this to nobody. And he gives them some money. He said, because if you mention this, you know, you're going to get killed. And Cisco's like wondering, well, did I make a deal with the devil or what? You know, you didn't have to kill him. You know, now look what you did. His family is going to come after us. You know, once they find out that you did it, they're going to come after us. So Blood is like, well, they don't never have to find out that I did it. You know, gangsters are missing every day. So what you guys do, I'm going. Yeah, Blood is like, I'm leaving. You clean up this mess. So they're like, well, what do you want us to do? Get rid of the body. So Cisco goes out and gets the van, pulls the van around in front of the gambling spot. And, you know, he has some blankets in there. He brings it. They wrap Tony's body up in the blankets and put him in the car. The street is dark. Put him in the car and drive to the Hudson River and throw his body in the river. Blood goes home like nothing happened. So the next day, Amber is going on her photo shoot, which actually she's going to a fashion show. But before she goes to her martial arts class, her judo class. And she's like a brown belt in judo. And Master Dan is her Japanese instructor. So now, her speed is not up to par. I mean, she's a brown belt, but she needs to do a tournament to become a black belt. And she's not fast enough. So Master Dan reveals her secret. I know you're taking drugs. I know you're drinking. And she's like, yeah, I take coke and Oh no, first she started like denying it. And he was like, you can't deny it. I know a drug addict when I see one. And I can see the way you are. And she gets defensive. Well, I can handle it, blah, blah, blah. I do it to keep me thin. I'm not an addict. And he's telling her, yeah, you are an addict. And if you miss one class, I'm going to drop you. And she's like, well, I'm not going to miss a class. And he's saying, well, you're not going to get your black belt until your speed, comes up to par. And she's like, well, I don't want a black belt. I'm good, as a brown belt. I don't care. She's making all kind of excuses because she doesn't want to stop using the drug. And she doesn't want to admit that she's a stone cold coke addict. So she leaves and she goes to a fashion show. Now, Willie, her agent, is at the fashion show, which shocks her because they're putting makeup on her and they're fixing her hair. She's just sweating because of the cocaine. She's just sweating. And she's nervous. And Willie is like, Amber, this is your second booking this week. And are you watching me? Are you watching me? And she's like, yeah, I'm watching you. And so Amber's thinking, oh my God, she knows that, I'm using drugs. But Willie doesn't know. No. And so she just tells her, good luck. And, you're on your way to success. And let's hope that we get more jobs for you. And she leaves her and Amber's like relieved. Oh my God, I thought she knew I was, on coke. She's just sweating and they just keep patting this, her face with the powder puff. And finally she goes out on the runway and she, is the talk of the town. All photographers are photographing her and she does really well. And after the show, she's going home to meet, to get dressed so she can go meet Blood. Dee is standing downstairs, in front of her building waiting for her. So Amber says, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. So Dee says, well, I just came to tell you I'm leaving and I'm going down south. And Amber is like, well, good luck. And she's like, well, Blood slapped me because he thought that I was going to tell you the details about him and I. So Amber is like, no, you went behind my back and you tried to seduce Blood when you know that I was interested. And I asked you in the beginning about you and him and you refused to tell me. Why didn't you tell me that you were still interested in him? And Dee got real, hostile. Well, if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't have slapped me and me and him could have gotten back together again. And she says, well, Dee, I thought you were my friend. It's like, I'm not your friend. You know what I mean? I just hang out with you, but I'm not your friend. Not when it comes to Blood. And so Amber said, well, I'm sorry. I met you. I'm sorry. I extended my friendship to you. I thought we were okay. And Amber goes to walk away, and Dee grabs her. Like, don't walk away from me. I'm not finished telling you, how I feel. So Amber was like, well, you know what? I'm finished listening. You going down south, have a good life. I don't ever want to see you again. So Dee calls her the B word. And I was like, I'm not a B. And don't call me that. So Amber goes to walk away and Dee grabs her and hits her. And so Amber grabs her and gives her a judo throw. And she hits the cement so hard. She's just like almost crying. And she was like, I hate you. I can't stand you, you know. And all this jealousy and rage came out of her that Amber wasn't aware of. You know, she thought that that was her girl, you know, like we hang out, we sniff coke together, we go to the clubs together. You know, I thought I was all right with you, but all along, Dee was envious of Amber's ambition and competitive drive and beauty and, you know, attainment of success, even at the smallest level. And that all the men, she was always the center of attention, and all the men looked at her. And, you know, Dee was jealous of that. But Amber never realized that, and she never picked up the signals, I guess because of the cocaine. You know, being high, everything looks great. So she leaves Dee on the ground, walks away, gets in a cab, goes to the den. Now, should she stay in this with Blood? I mean, she's just starting here. And I don't know. I don't think, I mean, I think she's not taking it serious. You know, she doesn't know all the secrets, you know, that he has. And they're being revealed as she gets closer to him. So tune in for episode 4. I Am the Man.